On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, 7 lists from the money experts. So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner, founder of Yesner Law. Welcome back, your financial coach, George Corbello. How you doing, George?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing well. Surprisingly, I'm, I got a picture of my new house. It has a foundation and, stuff on it, and it looks good, but it made me nervous. It's like, holy cow, we've got to continue to save money if we want to make this thing a reality. But it is becoming real, so I'm very happy. My wife and I, we took some pictures and stuff, and it was really cool to kind of see as it's getting built.
Nice.
Yeah, very happy about that.
Kids are back in school?
Oh, we kicked them out. Yeah, it was a really nice experience. But yeah, my oldest is in college, second year at UCF, and took her to her new apartment living, so that was nice. And then my youngest started, I think about a week and a half already. So very happy about that as well. How about your kids?
Yeah, both back in school. My oldest just started middle school.
Oh, congrats.
My youngest started 4th grade. So Cub Scouts has now officially started for the season. Soccer starts the day this comes out. Soccer will be our very first soccer practice of the 23-24 season.
Oh, I can't wait to see you all tired from all the things that you have to do in travel and the daddy duties. So.
I gave up, so I gave up the team manager responsibilities.
Good.
I am no longer the soccer team manager.
Congratulations on saying no, my friend. That's a good thing.
I am just dad.
Good.
And then at the end of September, another vice president role that I had assumed just naturally falls off because the leadership teams transition every October. So another thing comes off my plate the end of September.
You just get to be a lawyer.
I get to be a lawyer.
And a dad.
And a podcast host.
And a podcast. A very good one, I would say.
So we got a couple of interesting topics today. You found on Pinterest.
Oh, why did you have to say it like that? That kind of made me... I was searching. Come on, people.
Yeah, you were sorry.
Even though I have a Google account and it's locked in, linked to the Pinterest.
Searching versus surfing. Either way, it was a pretty interesting meme. And the title of the meme, it's got a picture of Warren Buffett on it. Although the interesting thing is once we found the meme and I started looking at other people, I saw this list. So there's one meme here that attributes the same list to Elon Musk.
Oh, okay. Well, you're telling me that the internet is not full of honest information out there?
Exactly. Some of these lists don't even, it's the same information, just doesn't attribute it to any particular author.
That's better.
But meanwhile, so we found this list and then we found a bunch of other lists. And so I figured we just kind of go over them. And actually, I don't think you and I have ever seen... We've seen one of these or two of these in advance. We've talked about a couple of them pre-recording, but pretty much as we discuss them will be the first time you hear us discuss them.
Probably, and I would say if there's laughter associated with a few of them, there's probably a reason why.
So at the risk of the wheels falling off.
It's too late.
So this first one, Why Most People Will Never Be Rich by Warren Buffett.
Wow, keep it real. go light from the get-go. I like that.
Now, what he says here, number one, believing a 9-to-5 job is the only way in life. And I get it. Maybe you create a side hustle.
Yep.
Maybe you, I guess that would really be the only other thing other than a
side
9-to-5.
hustle or again, owning your own. It's really more of owning your own business versus working for someone else. But I think I don't want to, the one thing I don't like about the comment itself is I think people can be rich with your 9-to-5. It's really, what are your habits? What are you doing? How are you managing your money? That's got to be one thing that plays into it. I don't want to poo-poo on the 9-to-5. Most Americans, most people will work 9-to-5. I understand. And 9-to-5 could be your daytime job, but you still work 8 hours, even if it's a third shift, second shift, that kind as well.
Well, and again, what do we mean by rich? So 9 to 5.
That's a great question.
If I'm working 9-to-5, but that allows me to go to my son's soccer practice, that allows me to do different things with and for the family, I may not be flush with cash, but that doesn't mean I'm not rich.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you're broke either.
Right.
Could be. Well, you could be, I guess, but
maybe.
But I think that's a great segue really for me is like, what's our definition of rich? What you think is going to be rich is going to be very different from our listeners, from each other. We're going to have that different definition. Rich, I could be rich with life. and love my family, and those things are more important, the experiences, than the actual number or figure that I'm making. So
Exactly.
we got to keep that in mind.
So there's 12 things on this first list, and I assume some of these lists are going to overlap a little bit.
Yeah.
But number 2 on the list, making career choices based on society and parents.
That's a, yeah. I mean,
I became an attorney out of spite. Had
That's
nothing
one
to
way
do
to
with
do it.
society.
I became a financial coach because of no. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. Sometimes we do things because, hey, my parents told me I got to be a doctor. Or I've got to
Right.
be. So we do have those pressures that may come from our parents, come from society. Like, hey, you want to make a lot of money, you have to be an engineer. You have to be a certain field. You have to do. So I think it's really finding what it is that you do well, the skill sets, and see if you can make money off of it.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, there's people doing TikToks and they're making money off of it.
They're
so
making
God
money.
bless them.
That'll come into one of these other ones here. So number 3, being too scared of failure to do anything. I mean, that I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That one I've kind of, and even I'm hesitant, but even so, what is it called? You got to burn the boats
Yeah.
at some point.
I like that.
Is that what, Christopher Columbus or something like that? So one of these explorers way back when, the story goes that they found this new land, and I think it was Christopher Columbus. I don't remember. Said, well, in order to really be successful, in order to really take root here, we can't have a means of leaving, and so he burned the boats.
Okay.
And so the analogy is, hey, I'm on my own. I'm in business on my own. I'm not working for anybody else. So I've, in essence, burned the boats. This is the path I've chosen.
I mean, I don't think I would go to that extreme. I do like a back out plan, but I think a lot of us sometimes overthink our situations. Like, what if I fail? What if I do? What if I do this? I mean, unless the answer is like, I will die, you know what I mean? I think part of our growth has to be, having the sense of failure, knowing what's happening.
Analysis by paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, that's it.
So taking advice from unsuccessful people. I mean, I agree. You don't want to get, weight loss tips from someone who's overweight. You don't want to get, designer tips from someone who can't match their clothes.
Well, I always say, like, you look at the people you surround yourself with, and that's probably the, where you are within life itself. So if you want to be a millionaire, you probably need to surround yourself with others who have millions of dollars.
Right.
That's the one thing that, so it really goes back to, who do we trust in our circle, our inner circle? And those are the people we tend to mimic. So
Right.
yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. Who do you surround yourself with? I've got a list right now of people that I surround myself with, that I'm working through, talking to them about, how did you get where you got, and what are you doing, and what works and what doesn't work.
Who gets into that circle? Let me drive in a little. Like, who? How do you?
You're not in.
You're
there.
not. Well, that's why I'm asking.
You're close. You're right. You're right on the
I
outside.
know the outskirts.
If one of those people on the list either makes me mad or dies,
Gotcha,
then you'll
okay.
be on the list.
I'll be considered.
No, I literally looked around at who are the people that and you are on the list, but who are the people that I hang out with? Who are the
Right.
people that I perceive to be successful?
Right.
Not just successful in terms of how much money they make, but successful in terms of maybe their family life, or maybe they're good at balancing family
Right.
and career, or they are a successful business owner or a multiple business owner, things like that. That's how I pick the people for the list.
I like it. That's you have to look at the people around you. It's what are the results? It always comes back to the result. What are people doing? How are they managing? And how are they treating themselves? Maybe even how are they treating others? That could be another success factor around. How I look at people as success. It's not just, what are some of the results that are just for them. It's really, what are they doing for the people around them? How are they making others around them better?
And admittedly, I put a couple people on the list that are, what we would consider like a whale. Someone that I don't know that I'd ever be able to roll up on and say, hey,
Right.
can we have... But, people that I would love to talk to at some point. There's one or two people on the list like that. Who would I love to just have a conversation with at some point? And then there's people that I interact with every day.
Right.
Number 5 here on this list, focusing on saving instead of earning. And I get it. In terms of, especially now with inflation, which we may or may not talk about on the afterpod here. But especially now with inflation, if all you do is save money, the rate that you're earning on your savings account is going to be eclipsed by inflation. And so the dollar you put away today isn't going to be worth a dollar tomorrow. It's going to have less earning capability tomorrow. But if you can take the, and I get it, we need to have some.
There's a balance.
Well, and we need to have some level of savings for emergencies and those kinds of things. But if you just save your money instead of making your money earn more money.
We got to make money. It's these guys, when we talk about people who have a lot of money, a lot of it is how are they money making money? And I think that's where you want to get to. I think if we focus too much on saving and not in the investing, you gotta have money for that rainy day, but it's really not going to be in that 10 times, which maybe what's needed as inflation keeps getting worse. I would agree with that as we get older.
So number 6 here, assuming rich people just got lucky. There's your TikTok reference.
That's what it is. Isn't that the case? I mean, Elon Musk got lucky. Everybody's getting lucky. And rich people get lucky. I tend to kind of shy away that kind of thought process. I totally agree. I think sometimes, if I marry into a family, if I'm born into a family, maybe there's more likelihood that I would be, rich, or so there's maybe that lucky. But once you get past that, I think people who build their kind of legacy from the top up, or the bottom up, I would say, I think those folks, they have to work hard. There's got to be some kind of work ethic. There's got to be how they interact with people for them to be able to build that wealth. Yeah.
Dr. Meisner from BNI said I'm a 20-year overnight success. And it took him 20 years to get there. And there's actually been studies about people who hit the lottery who end up losing their money
most of the time.
A year later. I've represented in bankruptcy, professional athletes, football players, hockey players, baseball players who get a ton of money but then don't quite know how to spend it, how to invest it, how to do that stuff with it. And when their playing days are over, but they continue to spend like they were getting all pro money, they end up getting hurt. So
such a sad story, but that's too common, I think. And I think some of the professional leagues have started to institute financial literacy as part of the first year rookies coming in. You have to kind of take this course, understand, especially when you get that kind of amount of money. It's like, hey, here's what you do: save it, spend it, kind of earn it, give it, that kind of thing. So it's just giving them that foundation. I think that's recent though. I don't, I've heard horror stories with like the Allen Iversons back in the day, where they just make so much money, advertise as sponsorships, their salary, and then all of a sudden they're broke.
Well, I did a series. Years ago, I did a series on Fridays. It was hashtag celebrity bankruptcy. And so you can probably look it up still, but Warren Sapp, I think, is one of the most famous that ended up filing bankruptcy. So yeah, I mean, rich people don't, some may get lucky, but even then, it's more so once they get the money, what do they do with it?
Yeah. Well, and I think the mindset, too, if you think about it, like, well, I have to be lucky to be rich. It's like, where's the incentive then to kind of go out and, put something out there, put a product. If you're going to get out of your 9 to 5, do that as well. Like, what's the incentive to work hard if you're thinking like, the only way I'm going to do it is win a lottery ticket?
Yeah. And the chances of winning the lottery, I think you're more likely to be struck by lightning.
Still want to play, but get $1 billion. It's like, I was just not the Florida person who won.
Although, if you took that money and you set it aside, you'd earn $365 a year. Not earn, you'd save $365 a year if you just didn't buy lottery tickets.
Go figure. Okay, well,
that's something for the next No Spend Challenge. Let's see. Number 7, failing to make any investments. I think that one's obvious. You want to make investments. 8, not setting any financial goals. Again, I think that one's kind of obvious.
The thing is, I think people do go with like, people go together. It's like, I just need money. I'll earn it, and then I'll just do stuff with it.
Right.
But I think setting good financial goals, meaning short term, if it's vacations, things for the kids, for yourself, self-improvement, and then your long-term financial goals. Like, hey, what does retirement look like? What do I need for an emergency fund? 3 to 6 months? You might get. So it is obvious, but I think we're still in that game where people they're assuming they're doing these things. I think it's like, write it down, just like anything else, write it down, understand what your goals are, and then again, what are you doing to actually get them done?
Exactly. Let's see. Number 9 here, spending more than they earn.
Yeah,
Again, I think that's kind
pretty
of
obvious.
That's most of my clients spend more than what they earn. Constantly making excuses. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And it's something that I struggle with because I do get clients from time to time that nothing is their fault.
Yep.
And I get it, but at the same time, I think there's something you can control to a certain extent. Now, I get it. You get into a car accident, that's not necessarily your fault.
Yeah.
But I think how you react to that is more important than saying, the making the excuses that nothing's ever my fault.
I would agree with that one. I think we do live to my perception, of course, that we live in a society itself like it's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, it was the government. It wasn't me, it was my neighbor. It wasn't me, it was something. And I think we need to get back to that accountability for ourselves. You're right. Our reactions, how we manage, what we do. If I don't have money, it's not because the government didn't do it. It's probably because I didn't save or I don't have a budget. It's like we got to get back to that accountability for ourselves.
Well, isn't it just the flip side of assuming the rich are lucky?
Yeah, exactly.
Assuming that you're. I was talking to a guy yesterday who was trying to get me to refer him some of my clients.
Of course.
And
for what, I would say?
Well, it's a particular bank that he's going after. And I won't say the name of the bank, but it rhymes with Smells Margot. And basically what he's saying is that they would resell the note and then sell the note again. So the same bank selling that promissory note and mortgage to multiple different other banks.
Okay.
And so I've got a client in foreclosure with that bank. And so I'm talking to this guy, and he said, well, yeah, we'll submit all that to the judge. And I said, well, how does that prove that my client did or didn't make his payments? Because ultimately that's what the judge is going to be concerned about.
Right.
So I get it. This bank may have sold the loan to, multiple times to the same investors. But if my client says anything other than I didn't know who to pay because I was getting all these notices from multiple banks that they bought my loan, unless that's the reason, just saying I can't pay because I got sick, I lost my job, I got divorced, I got this, I got that. How does whatever the bank is doing behind the scenes impact the borrower's ability to pay?
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting.
Let's see. Number 11, not learning new things.
Yeah.
Got
to grow. You got to grow in business, personal. Growth is part of that.
One of the lists that hopefully we get to, because at the pace of this show, we're going to be going for like 2 hours. But one of the lists that we're going to get to is about learning new things. And then the last one, lacking self-discipline.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't have a budget, if you can't stick to a budget, if you can't have your goals, if you can't stick to the goal, it's very hard to be able to accomplish those kind of things. I think people who position themselves to succeed, they know the work, they know the behavior that needs to be put in place to actually get it done. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
If you're lacking self-discipline, maybe we'll start up another no spend challenge in the near future. So
I would say I'll give a challenge is that maybe it's no spend. I'm in this save for, so maybe no spend turns into have a save challenge, where it's like save for a particular goal. Because again, I'm going through that right now with my 26 week save challenge.
Okay.
So
that's right.
Yeah, little opportunity there to kind of like instead of not just not spending, but saving for something, do something for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So that was the first list that we found. Why most people will never be rich. So that
Do you agree? I guess. Do people agree?
Yeah.
Let us know. I mean, because it's easy to again we don't want to make excuses and place blame, but is there other reasons why we think people are not getting ahead, getting that rich?
So that led to another list that we found.
We went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we went down the rabbit hole. So this next list is what rich people won't tell you.
Oh man, well they don't want to talk to me. Look at me. Well, that might be a problem itself.
You may start to see some common themes here, even looking at it. So the first thing on this list, what rich people won't tell you, you won't get rich off a salary alone. And I think that goes back to the 9 to 5.
9 to 5. yeah, you have to either invest or make money or do something. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yep.
Inflation steals your wealth, so invest. I mean, that goes to the other point: saving versus investing.
The other thing too, I think most of us put like, oh, I have a 401k, and it's like, well, what's been your rate of return for the last 5 years? Again, depending, it's been open for quite some time. Most people can't answer that question.
No.
So inflation's what? It's been averaging what 2%. They always say every 10 years, something like that. It's like a 2%.
Yeah, I mean it's gone up recently.
Let's account for 2%. If your rate of return on your 401k has been less than 2 or 3%, you're not making a lot of money. And
No.
I think a lot of folks would agree that your rate of return should be more 8 to 10% if you're going to have a substantial amount.
Right.
When it comes to that. So know what your rate of return in your know your 401k. What are you investing in? Like that for me, I think is so important in changing that narrative for that second point.
Yeah. The third one here: buy assets, not liabilities.
Yeah,
And buy things that appreciate in value, not things that
Your house.
depreciate. Don't buy a car, don't lease a car.
Yeah.
Buy your
Even
house.
though
don't
car
rent.
might be, again, it doesn't go up in value, your car, unless it's a classic car.
Right.
And I don't think my Mazda 5 was a classic car, so I think
It may be. It may be.
it's a classic piece of crap. That's what it was.
Maybe it'll be in a museum somewhere.
Yeah,
The first car,
the dumpster,
the first car ever driven by the infamous George Corbello.
infamous. I love that.
Number 4: never spend more than you make.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yep.
Number 5: pay yourself first.
I
Yeah.
preach to my clients. I preach to people all the time. We tend to have our budgets out of whack, where we're paying the bills first, doing all of these things. But I always say, before you do any type of spending with your budget, you're giving it, right? There's got to be something that you have, and you're saving. Something you're saving. It's pay yourself first. Is those are the two things. And most of us have our investments in our 401k, for instance. Those are automatically taken before we even get the money back. That's another instance of pay yourself first. We've got to get back and get our budgets fixed with that, because I think people are, I didn't have enough to save. It's like, well, your budget's a little upside down. You're paying it last. Of course you didn't have any money.
Well, pay yourself first is something we'll get into as well. One of these other lists coming up. But yeah, no, I agree. I always pay myself first as well. The last thing here: compound interest works wonders. And again, I agree there too. I mean, you invest in a 401k and compounding interest. And for those that don't understand it, basically what we're talking about is that what you earn, the money you invest earns interest. That interest then earns interest.
Correct.
So it starts building upon itself. And that's where you get into investing in 401ks, retirement accounts, mutual funds,
stocks,
index funds, all those kinds of things. So that's what rich people won't tell you.
Although they tell me all the time on TikTok there, but okay,
Yeah.
I'll believe you.
Because everyone on TikTok. Then we
You know
found
it's real. Come on now.
everything on the internet is absolutely true. Then I found another one. It's got Warren Buffett's face on it, but I don't know
He's
if
a
it's
popular guy.
He is popular, especially when it comes to money. He's
Gotcha.
a very popular guy.
Good to know.
This one is titled "Why the Rich Are Rich." Number 1: the rich are rich not because they look rich, but rather because they possess the skills and strategies of the rich.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll buy that one.
I'll bite. Because a lot of times we always say that rich people they don't wear Gucci.
Right.
They don't do a lot of the flashy stuff. It's usually, again, I don't want to sound terrible, but broke people are the ones probably flashing more.
Yeah.
Showing more when
The
it comes
keeping
to
up with the
brand.
Joneses.
Yeah, I think that's so. That true rich people usually don't use. A lot of their money is used to continue to build their wealth. So
Right.
I kind of get that.
Number 2 here: the rich invest their money first into assets instead of purchasing liabilities.
Makes sense.
We talked about that.
Yep.
Number 3: the rich maximize their income by increasing either their salary from their job or the profit from their business. We kind of touched on that one.
Okay.
Number 4: the rich build multiple income streams to diversify their income.
So it's not just you have a book or you have a type of course, if you're, again, depending on your business, but what kind of aspects in your business continue to bring in money that you're, again, if you're the person that is the butter for the business itself, That means when you're not working, your business is not making money. So
Right.
where can you put revenue streams where you're not working and yet the business is still making you money?
They could create a Patreon page.
I think that's a
Maybe for their
idea,
podcast.
For a crushing debt,
They could.
/crushing debt, and throw
Where-
us some.
Where we have other things
Some
behind a
sponsoring.
paywall for you to watch, or we have the ability to sponsor. So
I like it.
let's see this fourth list: 8 secrets from very rich people.
Man, there's a lot of secrets.
Yeah, I know. A lot of
There's a lot of secrets that's out on the internet.
Although I'm noticing some of these secrets are overlapping.
Yeah, it's okay.
But let's see. On this list, number 1, focus on the big goals. We talked about
Big
goal
goals,
setting
financial
and
goals. Set your goals. Yep, I like it.
Number 2, first save, then spend.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. Number 3, create multiple income streams. Got it.
Makes sense.
Number 4, the most important asset is you. That goes back to learning.
I like it.
Feed your brain. Sharpen the saw.
But here's the other thing. I'm going to say it's not just your skills and your brain, but take care of yourself. Healthy.
Yeah.
You can't work if you're not healthy. If your heart health is not good, if you're not walking, if you're not sleeping. I have to say, as I got older, it sounds like past tense. Excuse me. As I get older, I'm starting to realize a good night of sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, is so important for my brain to really recover and be ready for the next day.
Dude, I got to get up by 5 o'clock each morning to help get the family up and out and ready. And by the end of the week, I feel it.
Yeah.
By the time Thursday, Friday rolls around,
How much do you average?
I
sleep-wise?
probably get to bed anywhere. Well, it depends, because I typically fall asleep on the couch, and then my wife wakes me up, and
Dude,
then I stay up for a little bit. Then I go to bed. I probably go to bed around 11 every night, so I probably get about 6 hours.
6 hours if you're lucky.
Although I get probably about, I don't know, anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes on the couch.
Well, she's a good. She loves you.
While TV is on.
But yeah, I could see why by the end of the week, you're struggling. You need to get.
Although we may have a solution for that coming up on a future.
I like it.
On a future
Ooh,
episode.
This guy's always teasing.
Always teasing. You got to listen next week or the week after. I think we'll announce it. Let's see. Number 5 is kind of similar to number 4. Number 5, keep learning and become an expert.
Yeah.
Again, always learn. Number 6, invest in assets you understand.
Yeah, I would say it goes back to, if you're investing in your 401k, what are you investing in? What is your rate of return? Ask the questions that are necessary. How would you be able to know what you're investing in and be able to have confidence in what your retirements look like if you don't know what you're doing?
Exactly.
Learn.
Either learn or be aware, ask questions.
Yeah. Talk to a coach, talk to an advisor. If you don't have an advisor, but it's important to be able to really understand what it is that you're investing in.
Yeah. Number 7, be willing to take a calculated risk. I think that kind of goes along with number
Failure.
6 and kind of stuff we've talked about
the
before.
failure part, yeah.
Number 8, use money wisely and stop consuming. I don't know that I agree with the using money wisely part. I don't know that I agree with stop consuming unless what you're consuming is being wasted.
It's wasteful, because we buy a lot of stuff we probably don't need. So
Right.
the question is really, if your spending is taking away from your ability to take care of yourself, take care of your family, get out of debt, do the investing that's necessary. Yeah, that makes sense.
I actually had to tell my wife, we do all of our grocery shopping Sunday mostly, to get ready for the following week.
Sure.
And so she went to go to the grocery store this past Sunday, and I specifically had to tell her, we don't need strawberries. She's like, but we don't have strawberries. I'm like, you're right, we don't have strawberries. We have grapes, apples, pears, bananas.
We have everything else.
We don't need. Oh, my older son got super into. Have you ever had dragon fruit?
Yes, actually, yes, definitely. Yes, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good. My older son loves. I taught him how
He's
to cut
into
it
it.
up now, and he totally loves it. But
Love it.
I had to tell my wife, we don't need. If you buy strawberries, they're going to go bad, or we'll eat the strawberries, and some of the other fruits we have are going to go bad. So hold off on strawberries for a week.
It's good to be healthy, but don't be
So
wasteful.
she didn't buy. She listened to me, and when she came home from the grocery store on Sunday, she did not have any strawberries. Strawberries appeared in my fridge yesterday. So.
Yeah, I wish I could get the ring dings. Those are the ones that I'm hoping they would show up, even though my doctor would disagree with that comment. But anyway.
I love my wife. Okay, so this next list, this one goes to Steve Jobs.
Okay. It has his picture, so I'm gonna
It has
assume
his picture, and it says Steve Jobs 10 rules for success.
Let's shoot him up as we close out. We're gonna close out this episode.
Yeah, we
right?
we got 2 more. I don't know if we're gonna get through all 7 or if we'll save them for the after
We'll
pod.
save for the after pod.
So Steve Jobs 10 rules for success. Number 1, don't live a limited life.
I mean, again, you only have one.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Number 2, have passion. Number 3,
Love what you do.
yeah. Number 3, design for yourself. I guess maybe don't worry about what other people think you should be doing.
Pressures,
yeah,
your parents. Okay.
Peer pressure.
Gotcha.
Number 4, don't sell crap. Quality, I guess.
Quality, yeah. Don't sell crap. I'll take it. it.
Build a great team. I agree there.
You got to surround yourself with people you trust.
Don't do it for money.
No, sometimes I do.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I do. But I think maybe overall,
yeah.
Do what you love, and the money will come. Be proud of your products. If you're not proud of your products, how could you ever attempt to sell them?
Buy them from you if you're not proud of what you do?
Build around customers, customer-centric, customer-focused.
That's a good business one. I like that.
Marketing is about value. I agree there. People don't typically buy on price.
Nope.
They buy on value. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that one.
So you're not really geared to your 9-to-5s, but definitely I could see these entrepreneurs. These are some good ones. I like.
Yeah,
that.
we got 2 more lists here. We can probably squeeze through one more.
We'll give you one more.
And we'll do the 7th one on the after
Gotcha.
pod.
Okay.
So this next one, actually, you know what? Let's do the 7th one, and we'll save this 5th one.
Oh, the books.
Yeah, let's do the books.
Gotcha.
So the last one, books that teach you to be rich. And so the books on this list, The Richest Man in Babylon, which I've read, which I love.
Read that.
And we had that guy on the show
Yes.
that rewrote it with his son.
Mm-hmm.
So and that one was The Richest Person in Babylon. So Richest Man in Babylon, Richest Person in Babylon.
Both should be, I agree there.
Your Money or Your Life. That one, it's by Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez. I've heard of it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so I'll probably add it to my list of stuff to read. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Again, I've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've read that one yet.
No, neither you.
Then the next one, A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton I think it's Malkiel, Malkiel.
Yep.
Random Walk Down Wall Street. There's only been a few books that I have not been able to. Typically, if I pick up a book, I have to finish it.
Okay.
There's been 1 or 2 in my entire time here that I've just closed and said,
can't do it.
I give up. The book wins.
You win.
A Random Walk Down Wall Street was one of them.
Okay.
Because I found it to be very technical. And so in terms of investments and how Wall Street works and how stocks are picked and go up and down and all this other stuff, it was
too much.
Yeah, so it's a great book. It just, I couldn't, maybe I'll pick it up again one day and try to knock it out.
Try to finish it. Okay, we'll get you that.
Next one, The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. I've never heard of that one.
Heard of that one. That one's a new one.
And then The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle, B-O-G-L-E. The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle. Again, not one that I've really ever heard of. But if you had to talk about books that teach you to be rich, what would be on your list?
So, again, I'm I'm all about behaviors and all that. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah. I
would say probably everyone should read that regardless if you're making money. I think if you want to understand success, what are the habits that people are doing? An old one, but a good one. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, that's a good one.
For me, another very
Dale Carnegie.
important. Dale Carnegie, again, so good. I feel like that one really changes the way you talk to people, regardless if it's business or just in general. How do you want people to I won't say like you, they just be around you. They want to work with you.
Right.
So it's just little things like that. Richest Man in Babylon, I would agree with you there. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm gonna say he's a little crazy nowadays, but the principles are pretty good. If you want to go in the opposite end, and again, I'll go with the Dave Ramsey. I would say, the Total Money Makeover is another. It's just a good starting point, and it has a lot of good examples. in regards to why it's important to be out of debt, to be more in control with money. So that would those would be the ones I would say. My 5. I would say I'll give you my 5 there.
Okay. So again, I love Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a good one. The ones that were on my list, the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, that was on my list. How Money Works. So I don't know that you've ever met her, but there's a show here in Tampa Bay by a lady named Polly Bauer. It's Swipe the podcast, and it's all about credit, and she goes into some credit repair, but it's about credit cards and debt and all that stuff. She teamed up with some people that wrote a book called How Money Works, and so that one was a really good one.
Nice. Okay.
Stacked was written by Joe Salsihai. He's a friend of mine. His podcast is called Stacking Benjamins. It's all about money, and Stacked is a common sense guide to money. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, who's been on the show.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
I can't talk about it, and that one is the pay yourself first concept. And then the last one, can you guess what my 5th one would be?
The Crushing Debt.
Of course.
Come on.
Crushing Debt is a great book.
Available on Amazon.
So those are my 5 books that teach you
Smart
how to be rich.
Guy. Talk about passive income.
There
Smart
you
man
go.
right there. I love it.
With passive aggressiveness more than passive income.
I love it.
So we have reached the end. We've done 6 of the 7 lists. So for those of you that are listening to the podcast, those are 6 of the 7 lists that we found. There is a 7th list, but we like to save some content for those people that support us on Patreon. So if you're interested in the 7th list, you can go to patreon.com/crushingdebt. You can find us there if you want to support the show. We'll take all that money that we earn over there, and we do pump it back into the show. And other than that,
I would say we're list out. I'm good.
We're listed out.
And now I'm gonna go be rich after. I know how to do it now.
There you go.
So let's go get rich.
Definitely this week's episode, we hope will help you have more month at the end of the money rather than money at the more money at the end of the month rather than month at the end of the money.
Wait a second.
I still screw it up every once in a while.
I love it.
I still screw it up every once in a while.
You're all good,
More
brother.
money at the end of the month rather than month at the end of the money. And that will stop this week's episode, and we will talk to you in next week's episode of the podcast.